Welcome! I thought I'd kick off these videos with a look at what I'm currently doing in my training. This is my bench session. This was the final week of a 3-week cycle. So this is the heaviest weights and the lowest volume I'll be doing. Next week after this session I'll actually be dropping back to a higher volume, lower weight session, tapering back up to a similar thing in another 3 weeks' time. How each session starts really depends on how I'm actually feeling that day. Normally it's some sort of band warm-up, so here I did some band presses and some band pull-aparts. Really the main idea behind here is just to get the muscles moving, the joints moving, and just start to get the blood flowing a bit. This particular day nothing was feeling too bad, so I moved on to actually stretching, warming up, getting the joints moving using the barbell. So essentially what I'm doing here is just moving the barbell around, kind of rowing around, loosening up the shoulders, loosening up the scapula, working on pulling the scapula from the back together, ready to bench. Just warming up, loosening things up, just making sure everything feels good. If things didn't actually feel too good, I'd have moved on to some other warm-ups. I might have done some shoulder dislocations, some face pulls. Things felt relatively good, so I started doing some practice reps, just working on form before we started adding any weight. I normally like to do some normal width, wide and close grip, just to hit all the points, make sure everything feels good, so there's no surprises. As it's off season for my training, I've added in a lot more volume. Now one way people often miss out on actually adding the volume, and one of the easiest ways actually to do it, is to do smaller jumps up in weights as you work up to your working sets. So you'll notice that I actually only add 5 kilo per side to work my way up. You may need to add 10 kilo if you bench more, or add 2.5 kilo each side as you work your way up. But smaller jumps equals more sets equals more volume. During these first few warm-up sets, I found I couldn't actually retract my shoulder blades as much as I'd liked, and they did feel a bit stiff. So you'll notice after this set I do switch to doing some shoulder dislocation. These just need a light red band, and they help to open up the shoulders nicely. One important thing to remember is that regardless of what weight's actually on the bar, you should always treat it exactly the same as your heaviest set. You should take it out the same, you should be the same tightness, you should be the same focused, you should treat each one and attack each one as if it was your heaviest set. This will in turn teach your body how you want it to react when you do get to those heavier weights. I decided at this point to start leaving my setups in, as I thought that might be able to help people see how I set up on the bench. We'll talk about that in a few moments, but one thing I haven't discussed is reps. When I'm working up to triples, I like to do around 5 to 6 reps on my warm-up sets. As I get to around 60%, I then switch to triples. You'll see this from the next set onwards. Extra reps under 50-60% is not really going to affect your later lifts, but it is going to help warm you up and get some extra of that volume in, and give you a chance to practice your technique and bar path. You'll notice all my bench reps are actually paused reps. This is a conscious thing. I've decided that I'm not doing any touch and go reps on my main lifts, because in competition you need to actually pause it, so it's better to train that. It also helps build strength in the bottom end. At this point we've got 100 kilo on the bar. That's about 70% of what I'm going to be doing for triples for this session. So this is the point I like to add wrist wraps. I don't like adding them much earlier unless you've got a specific problem with your wrists or they're particularly sore for that session. Otherwise I find they hinder the strength development of your wrists, and leaving them off for a bit longer will actually help strengthen your wrists and strengthen your forearms for your heavier sets. I'll probably make a future video with detailed instructions on how I actually do my setup and why, but in summary, this is what I do. I like to take an underhanded grip on the bar. I find I can pull my lats in and pull my shoulder blades together and down easier in this position. I then switch to a normal competition bench grip. As I bring my feet down, I tighten my lats, tighten my upper back and lower my bum to the bench. From this position with my lats tight, I will drag the bar out the rack, essentially doing a pullover. You don't want to lift the bar out the rack. This will unset your back and unset your shoulders. You can see the setup again here. Ideally, you want every setup to be the same on every rep, every session, every day. Now we've reached the final working set of the day. This is 130 for 3 paused reps. Having finished the top set, I typically on a bench day do 5 down sets. On this day it's 120 for 5 sets of 3. Something to mention while these are finished off is rest periods that I've used throughout the session. Typically during the warm-up sets there'll be quite short rest periods, maybe a minute to a minute and a half. As the weights increase, those rest periods actually increase as well. Maybe up to around 3 minutes on the top sets. Bench pressing done. it's time to move on to my overhead press assistance work. This cycle as my assistance work, I've added in some banded speed work. For these I've programmed in 8 sets of 3 with around 30 seconds rest in between sets. These have tapered up each week as well. So with this being final week, there's 50 kilo of bar weight, and those red bands add about 10 kilo each at the top, so it's about 70 kilo at lockout. Just remember that the idea behind the speed work is to be as explosive as possible. If you have any questions about the video or anything that I've covered, let me know in the comments. Also, if you've got any tips or suggestions on how to improve the videos, or any topics that you want me to cover in the future, just let me know. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.